histamine intolerance, mast cell activation syndrome, chronic inflammatory response syndrome. By the way, guys, I'm Dr. Martin Hart with Keystone Total Health. Keep listening for more great videos. Like, subscribe, share with friends and family. What's the difference, right? So all of these are major inflammatory responses that can look very similar, but they're actually different things. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about something in the immune system that's creating a lot of inflammation, but different ways it acts out. Histamine intolerance is when your body simply has too much histamine that it can't tolerate anymore. This can produce seasonal allergy type symptoms, things like sneezing, itching, rashes, redness, flushing, food intolerances, leaky gut, okay? Simply meaning too much histamine. Now, with histamine intolerance, you can have that with any of the other two, CIRS, chronic inflammatory response syndrome, or MCAS, mast cell activation syndrome. So that's histamine intolerance. Mast cell activation syndrome is when the mast cells of your body, these are the immune cells, okay, one of the types of immune cells that can kill parasites and fungus and other invaders. What they do is they release, so they squeeze down and they release all their stuff, okay? One of the things they release is histamine, which is why you can have histamine intolerance with MCAS. But they also release all sorts of other cytokines, chemokines, inflammatory molecules, immune molecules. They release leukotrienes, all sorts of different prostaglandins, all sorts of different things that are inflammatory. Okay, so those people tend to have similar symptoms of the histamine intolerance, but they're also usually a lot more reactive. And it depends on where the mast cell activation can happen. It can happen in the bladder, it can happen in the gut, it can happen in the lungs or brain tissue or skin, right? So those people tend to be a little more sensitive and a little more inflamed because they're dealing with more inflammatory chemicals, okay? That's MCAS. Something is irritating the mast cells. They're releasing their stuff more often. Either they're releasing too often, too easily, or they have too many mast cells, okay? That's MCAS. And then we have chronic inflammatory response syndrome, or CIRS. This is usually either Lyme disease or mold induced. It's when you have a biotoxin illness. So Lyme disease and mold produce biotoxins. And the body's immune system creates an inflammatory response to those microbes. Okay, because they look very similar, but this one can also often involve even more like joint pain or brain fog or seizures sometimes for those folks. And so what happens is when their body gets exposed to either that microbe or an immune irritant or the mold, they're going to have a major inflammatory response from it. Okay, so histamine intolerance is too much histamine. Mast cell activation is when your mast cells either have too many or they release too often, too easily, which can involve histamine and other inflammatory molecules. Chronic inflammatory response syndrome is when you have a biotoxin illness and your body is producing too much inflammation, your immune system's hyperactive to those biotoxins or things that trigger your immune system. I hope this is helpful for you. Like, share, please comment below if this makes sense to you. You guys have any questions. Take care.